Hello and welcome back. Now that you're here, we can begin discussing one of my personal favorite Jujutsu Kaisen characters, Suguru Geto, who I believe is one of the most underrated characters in the anime and manga. So today I'm going to present a couple points that might convince you that he's a more powerful character than many give him credit for. We all know that Geto was one of the most powerful sorcerers when he and Gojo were in school. They both considered themselves and each other to be the strongest, and they had no problem conspiring to face off against even the enigmatic and immortal Tengen if they felt that it was the right thing to do. Geto effortlessly dealt with every single obstacle in Hidden Inventory until he faced off against Toji, who actually took more damage from Geto's curse, Kuchisake Onna, than he did from Gojo in their first round. Toji also refused to kill Geto because he was worried that it would release every one of his collected curses. And even though his job was already done, he seemed really put off by the prospect of dealing with them. A character who has godlike instincts like Toji making a decision like that is significant because he wouldn't overestimate an opponent. Later, it is confirmed that this instinct was proven correct when Kenjaku dies. This effect didn't happen during Chapter 0 due to Geto having no remaining curses when he died. The main takeaways from Hidden Inventory as far as Geto is concerned is that he is confirmed to be a well-rounded character, not just being carried by his techniques like some other sorcerers. And even after several days of fighting off curse users with little rest, he was still able to damage Toji and survive their encounter. We later learned that Geto even withheld information about his curse technique from all of his comrades during his time at Jujutsu High, so it is in character for him to conceal his true potential and powers even from his closest allies. This is why he was able to achieve special grade status within the year that he spiraled and consumed countless curses. I believe that this is when Geto achieved that special grade status due to it being unlikely that Jujutsu Society would evaluate and re-rank him while he was a murderous curse user considered the worst of all. During this decade of his life, he collected thousands of curses and built a family of allies who would do just about anything for him, most noteworthy of which being the African legend himself, Miguel. Miguel is a legendary high-tier character in the verse, known for both mentoring Yuta Akatsu and for distracting and tanking Satoru Gojo for about 10 minutes. Gojo, of course, is known to have such powerful punches that even characters known for their resilience, like Yuta or Hakari, are completely folded in a single blow. This places Miguel's physicals in the realms of characters like Maki or even Sukuna. Due to the narrator's framing of Miguel's return in the manga, it seems to imply that Gojo hasn't gotten much stronger since he encountered Miguel during the night parade. And during Miguel and Gojo's meeting, he does praise Miguel's qualities and consider him a threat in physical stats. It is interesting to note that Chapter 0 doesn't frame Miguel as superior to Geto, and due to his lack of special grade status and role as a distraction in Geto's plans, it's highly probable that Miguel is equal or weaker than Geto. This is further supported by Geto's speculation that his family had about a 20% chance of overthrowing all of Jujutsu Society, including Gojo, but Miguel himself had essentially a 0% chance to win on his own. This, coupled with Gojo's statement that Geto wouldn't start a war he couldn't win, begins to lay the groundwork for this scaling. Another supporting point worth noting is that Geto was able to keep up with infinite energy enraged Yuta and Rika at the same time, while at the time more concerned with philosophy than actually ending the fight. The Queen of Curses, Rika Orimoto, is an amazing spirit, consistently stated to have boundless cursed energy and threaten even the life of Satoru Gojo if wielded correctly. Being able to amp Yuta, who was at the time a normal human, to the heights of special grade in just a few months of learning to wield her power, was said to be able to uproot and overthrow all of Jujutsu Society, including Gojo, with a likelihood of about 99% in the hands of Geto. And this wasn't just a wild speculation. Geto actually reaffirms this belief immediately after being hit by the True Love beam. The sense of power was so great that Geto was more focused on the heights he would ascend to if he had her than he was on trying to flee to safety, even though his body was partially destroyed at the time. This is later built upon again by Kenjaku, who, using Geto's memories as a basis, decides that Yuta is nothing special because practically all the power he exhibited in Chapter 0 was just a result of Rika buffing him and had little to do with Yuta's own talent. This is not to discount Yuta, of course. Kenjaku later learns the hard way that Yuta is a massive threat in his own. However, based on the context that Kenjaku just had Geto's memories of Chapter 0 to go off of, it's clear that Yuta losing his special grade rank after releasing Rika wasn't just a formality. But due to his immense talent and superior bloodline, Yuta was very quickly able to rise through the ranks yet again. But even though he could still summon what was left of Rika after she passed on, the difference between the two Rikas were dramatic. For example, the original Rika was considered to be a threat to Gojo and was able to give Yuta a pseudo-jackpot-like state and overwhelm Geto, who is a special grade sorcerer that even Gojo wouldn't risk fighting with his students nearby. And the modern-day Rika struggles to face off against Ryu Ishigori physically and is outright stated to have a weaker attack power. This is notable because the Granite Blast, which is supposedly stronger than current Rika's True Love Blast, got tanked outright multiple times and wasn't even strong enough to kill Ryu when it was redirected towards him. If Yuta can tank a Granite Blast but is incapacitated and forced to vomit from one of Gojo's punches, clearly current Yuta isn't on the level of Miguel and by extension Geto. Yuta's drop in power from losing Rika is actually far more drastic than you might think. Due to Geto seeing the true love beam is reaffirming his belief and proving that Rika would have been enough to overthrow society, Gojo included. Whereas the current Rika's beam is so weak that at least 5 characters weaker than Gojo could tank it. It is hard to believe that Geto would underestimate Gojo, and he is definitely one of the top authorities on the potential of cursed spirits in the verse. The final piece of evidence I'd like to speak on regarding Rika's drop in power is that in Chapter 0, she was able to physically contend with someone that scales to Miguel, but in the Sendai colony, Rika failed at boxing a guy who got no diffed by Sukuna. So not only is Rika's output and connection to Yuta weaker, but also her physicals. When taking into account that even in an extremely nerfed state, Rika is still capable of at least assisting in fights against top tiers like Sukuna, it's evident that Geto is also much more powerful than we gave him credit for due to his ability to keep up with Rika. Kenjaku even goes as far as to say that if he didn't divide his power to match all of Jujutsu Society at the same time with the Night Parade, he definitely would have won against Rika. This means that in raw power alone, Uzumaki is strong enough to threaten or even kill Gojo if it was capable of touching him, that is. Even though Geto didn't fully understand his technique yet, and we see that Kenjaku can use it much more imaginatively. In conclusion, Geto is a character with physicals that match or surpass characters like Miguel and Rika who can fight against Gojo. Geto's maximum technique is matching attacks like the World Slash or Hollow Purple when used to its true potential. These feats, in addition to his unmatched variety and potential for growth, makes this genocidal madman a serious threat to even the strongest characters in the series and a massively underrated character. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all join the discussion in the comments and tell me what you agree with and what you don't. But either way, until next time, I'd like you to stay safe and take it easy.